All right. All right. So I hope that everybody can see the slide set. Good evening, first of all. And I would not give any introduction further than what Divya has already given. But let me catch up with what was my primary responsibilities over the past 22 years of my industry, as well as academic experience. What I did 20 years back is the same thing that I'm doing today. My responsibilities from day one, my first job was at Merck KGA, and then at several industry setups, mostly multinational companies, mostly people where you get to interact with not just multicultural people, but a wide range of different people. I have had positions like head of project management for Glenmark Pharmaceuticals. I have taken a position like senior vice president affairs. Now, in all of these positions, what I've seen is that I've got opportunities to interact with people from ground level, let's say people who are on the shop floor of a manufacturing setup, or people who are clinicians, physicians, people who are CTAs, people on the ground. What essentially is my feedback around all of this communications that I've gone through, all my experience? I'll try to give a gist of what it is. And I hope that you would benefit from my little lecture, or let's say a little input of my own career guidance that I've got over years. Now, what I call this is soft skills. I'll just go to the next one. This is one of my most favorite slides. I think I've been through this slide a couple of different times in different forums. But I don't know if anybody wants to pitch in and tell me what is the difference between a manager and a leader, and what makes it different. Does anybody want to come in, pitch in? Well, that's fine. I hope that this picture tells it all, the difference between a manager and a leader. Now, I'm sure you might have heard the name of Warren Buffett, the gentleman who's one of the richest guys, gentleman who also heads the Berkshire Hathaway. You might have heard about Elon Musk. You might have heard about all of the big names. Let me give you different examples here. And I'll tell you the reason why I have this slide here. Has anybody heard of Ron Bumpkins or Rose Bumpkins, also known as Mrs. B? Has anybody heard about her? Looks like nobody. Has anybody heard about Jack Taylor? Has anybody heard about it?
No, sir, never heard of it.
All right. So I'll tell you what, let's take one example instead of taking all examples. So who's Jack Taylor? Jack Taylor, he's unfortunately not in this world now, but he was the CEO of what is known as Enterprise Rent a Car, or the National Wide Car Rental Services, also called as ALMO. This is a company that is plus $200 billion. The only owner of that company that refused Warren Buffett that he would not sell that company to Warren Buffett. So there's no enterprise, there's no company who does not want to be sold to Berkshire Hathaway. But this is the only gentleman who rents a car. Started his career 1950s with just 7 cars, made it 18. And you know what was the most disciplined business at that time in car rental? It was not Enterprise Rent a Car. It was big companies like Hertz, big companies like Avis, and I'm sure these are all big names. Even in that competition, when this gentleman had to put a focus on his business and sell his business, it's a very simple business. It's rent a car. What made him different? The difference was his communication, his enterprise value went from over $1 to close to $800 at one point of time, from 17 cars to one of the biggest businesses in the United States. Why? His business was about making sure that people pleasantly take the offer of his company, the communication, the way his people would talk and communicate to an upcoming client who just wants a car for a day and then give it back. That's one leading example to tell you how important communication could be. And I'll go into communication. I'll go into a wide variety of things. There is another example. We all know Elon Musk, right? I hope that's something that everybody knows. The guy who owns the StarX, the guy who owns the Tesla. 2018, this is much before COVID. This company was not known. There was obviously a downfall of the share. They started at around 1.20 a share. I too have some, so I'll tell you that. So they started at around $1.2 a share, and they fell as much as 0.25 cents in 3 years. Reason? They were not able to manufacture the car that they had promised, which is sustainable energy. That's the big motto of Tesla, if you know that. Now, they have overpromised the market. What was Elon Musk doing at the time when all of these guys were throwing shit on the stock market? He tells in one of the interviews that he used to sit on the floor, sleep on the floor, while his workers, his managers, all of his attendees would be busy doing their job. He was not. He could have gone into his ivory castle and lived there. No, he was there on the floor, slept on the floor all the 3 years to ensure that he was able to communicate to entire staff that he had, that I'm with you here. And that makes a leader. Now, why all this discussion? The discussion is all because there is a crux to it. How you communicate, how your interpersonal, interdisciplinary function alone might not help you in your careers, might not help you in your professional life. And that's what I have learned over the course of time. I'm not a wizard, and Divya, thank you for inviting me, but I'm not a wizard. I'm not a musician. I'll not click a button and tell you what is communication skill. But having said that, I would tell you some important functions, some experience that I have had over time. And I would also try to be very flaky, try to complete it in 40 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever you're given. I would not try to be cheesy and prolong it. Okay. So thank you very much. This is because I've heard there's a lot of students in here. This is essentially, I would assume that you would think that your career path will go like this: do a BS, an MS, go to do a PhD, get to a job. But the reality is actually this. This is one of my favorites from University of Alberta, Canada. I took this slide from somewhere, it's not mine. But what it actually tells you is the truth of a career path. You get to interact all of these different ways. You keep changing jobs. You take different occupations. You do sometimes part-time jobs. I have not done part-time, but I'm open to. And then take a full-time job, retire. I have taken something else. I call myself as entrepreneur. I don't know how to pronounce it, but honestly, entrepreneur. Now, let's get to the business here. The slide, I put it specifically knowing that there are students who will go for an interview, who will go for the next career leap. There might be teachers, there might be other professionals. We in the industry typically think that the way you communicate to your manager will actually downflow to the next level. And the way the management thinks or talks to your immediate junior or to your superior as well and superior, I mean the board of the company, right? It percolates all down, and it ultimately makes a lot of meaning to the people who are working for you without caring about it's 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the night. They have their own family business, but they still work for you. And why and how is what we will discuss today. Let's talk about communication. Now, you all know that human voice, right, is one of the most powerful things. It can start a war, or you can just say 3 simple words, I love you. Very important. And how does the human voice make such a difference is if you avoid what is also called the 7 sins of miscommunication. You guys might be, much aware. We all do gossips. We do all kind of negativity, all kind of negative thoughts, all kind of negative speech. What we do, let's say, for example, I have a friend here on the call who joined as a guest. His name is Aniket Rawal. He was my ex-colleague. I asked him to join here. He could tell me another kind of miscommunication that we do in our daily lives, complaining. So the people in UK, United Kingdom, have the habit of complaining about everything in the world. The climate is bad, the taxi driver is bad, the weather is bad, the people are bad. So everything in United Kingdom is all about complaining, right? We also have people who give excuses. They would brass, right? So they would say, the bug has to be passed to someone else. Very easy. But what if the sword is on your side? Nobody knows. There is also some people who talk about embroidery. In an easy setup, I would say exaggeration. So they would say, you know what? I come to this table, the meeting would be done with flying colors. Not necessarily. The people who are dogmatic, or what we call as dogmatism. Okay, dogmatism means you just come to a meeting and confuse all the facts. Why do you confuse all the facts? Either you don't know anything yourself, or you want to confuse your facts and just get yourself to the next meeting, so that there is a what you call in a very simple English language as time pass. So that's how people behave. So if we get rid of all of these 7 sins of miscommunication, we can talk about this communication. Now, the picture I have here is nothing to do with all the the gadgets that you have, the phones you have, the WhatsApp communications you have, the gadgets you have. I'm not talking about any of this. My reason to put this word communication here was to say that we need to know how to decipher what we are thinking properly, eloquently to someone who's actually listening to us. That's called communication. I have a lot of cartoons. I like it all the time. I have a riddle of cartoons. I have several with me in my inbox. So this is a nice picture that talks about, how much ever different ways you communicate, there's always a confusion. But there are people, and I'm sure there are people here as well, who would be eloquent speakers. What that means is you would be able to beautifully express what you want to communicate to anybody. But not everybody is like that. Not everybody can communicate clearly. But there are some qualities that I would definitely say the leaders do have. One is transparency. They would not hide facts. There would be clarity. They would say tip to top that the girl wore a pajama, a socks of yellow color, a shirt of green color, and she had a long hair or a short hair. Very clear. That's called clarity. Let's talk also about a couple of examples from the industry that I like. The rest of the pictures, you guys can keep reading. But I will give you examples of certain companies like Amazon. Have you seen an ad of Amazon? Very clear. Every season, they come up with an ad which is very clear that what are they trying to achieve this season, this Diwali, this Dashera, very clear. There's also a very pep talk that is called TED Talks. Have some time, if you have a time, I keep listening things, go to TED Talks. The idea that they came up with says very clearly, ideas worth spreading, very clear on their agenda. There is also one of my favorite companies. I'm not sure if there is someone from pharma or biotech here on the bridge, but there is a very interesting company that I came across in 2019. The company thus far has raised around $1 billion. Their agenda, very clear, rethinking pharma, remaking medicine. Has anybody come across this very specific tongue twist? Anybody? The company is
No,
called,
sir.
all right. The company is called EQRX. Have a look at their website. Now, in India, we see a lot of pharmaceutical biotechnology companies talking all the fish. You can look at all the website, including ours at VRise for that matter. But all of that look the same. This company's website on the pharma side is very, very different. It says rethinking pharma. The intention of that company to raise $1 billion when Lehman Brothers is going down in 2008 is simple agenda. They want to appease to the insurance companies that we can sell the drug the cheapest, even if there's Amgen, there's Sanofi, there is all kind of big companies out there, we can still make a new drug available to the patient who has an unmet indication at the cheapest possible price. And how do they do it? They essentially license the drug from China, let's say some part from India or something like that. They make the cheapest product at the best quality, leave all the marketing expenses aside, and then sell it. Unfortunately, so I've met Melanie, who is the CEO and co-founder of EQRX. We recently had an interaction also with the head of scientific affairs at EQRX. Absolutely brilliant company, communicates absolutely brilliantly. They know what they're doing. They will not talk less. They will not talk more. Now, let me tell you an example of what would usually happen in an office environment. So one day, a boss will come sudden morning, 6:30, he'll give you a call. Hey, I have a group of people coming from Ella Lilly and Company. Ensure that you are there. Ensure that you take and treat the guests properly. Now, I'm not sure that day, and this is one of my incidences in Glenmark. So, my boss was nobody else than Glenn Saldana himself. He calls me at 6:30 from the gym and tells me, you have to take care. I don't bloody worry about anything else. Make sure that the people come in, sit properly, and are attended properly. Now, I'm confused. I'm like a manager in project management. I have absolutely no experience. Now, what should I do when I go there? Simple 3 different things that I would tell you from my experience. Always create the first impression. So there were 5 guys, including the CEO of India for that matter, not Ella Lilly from Singapore or anything like that. But when they came in, the first impression that we would like to give to anybody is put a bright smile on your face. That's called the first impression. How things will, unfold, you don't know. But putting a smile on your face and greeting someone will essentially make a lot of difference when it comes to communication. That is one part of communication that we should always be worried about. Now, they take you in, at those times, the cell phones were not like what you get today, but people had the habit, they used to take their Nokia cell phone and, as if there is some very important message from Prime Minister of India, you're chatting around. Not really, not required. So the incoming person is not comfortable. He's thinking that this guy is too busy. No, actually, the way to interact is that you should show that you're interested in the discussion. That will appeal them another 20%. Remaining is only 10%. And the third, and without telling you names here, but I keep telling some people who are very close friends of mine that the third and the most important thing in communication is body language. Sometimes we do not realize we put all the anger that we have inside on our face, or we keep all the happiness in the world on our face. Either ways, it's bad. Especially, you can keep a happy face. You don't have to keep an angry face. What happens in that communication is you essentially get into a drift of emotions. The redness comes on your face, and then the discussion is just spoiled. Now, I would not read some of those things, but I would say do your homework properly before you start doing something or doing a chit chat. There are some people who do not listen at all. The lady is talking about something, the gentleman wants a beer. So that's very common in offices for sure. There are also people who are in customer service, but what is this gentleman doing? Nothing really. So you either as a leader or a manager have to assign who is needed for what job, who is the best communicator, who is required at what position. And I think, and sometimes I be proud about myself, that my boss always used to push me at the corner and say, you will take the lead. Probably he had confidence that I will take the lead, which is good for me. But anyways, let's talk about this slide. Not very favorite, but an effective slide. I'm sure, many of you would go to interviews constantly. There would be opportunities to attend. I have opportunities to attend board meetings, other meetings. The trick of the trade is essentially keep all the expressions that you have under control. There is something that I think I came across, something that is called analog communication. Has anybody heard about what is analog communication? All right. Analog communication is very simple. Analog means you analog. You communicate than not communicate. That means say something ridiculous, even if that is, but do not stop the communication. Say what you mean. Essentially, you say what you really mean. Don't say what you don't mean, right? And that will make sure that you come out of a lot of riddles, and make sure that others' feeling is very important. You have to ensure that when you're talking, you are taking care of feelings around the people who are participating in that communication. Let me go to the next work. And Divya, this is in interest of your time, but I'll take some questions at the end. This is the next thing. Now, before we go into this, I will give a very, very good example of what teamwork is. But let's go back in 1950s. Anybody knew what happened in 1947 in Japan? Anybody?
Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
Exactly. So what happened after Hiroshima, Nagasaki? Japan was essentially devastated. The country was in ashes. There was misery all around. The country did not have enough food grains to thrive. And the Americans did not wanted to reinvent the wheel. Have you ever heard about, there's a nice book, there's a nice book that says Rich Daddy, Poor Daddy. Has anybody read that book?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that a little later. But has anybody heard about the Japanese economic miracle?
No.
All right. So when Japan was devastated because of all of that happened, what essentially happened is there was a fine gentleman by the name Dr. W. That's how history remembers him, but it's Dr. W. Dennis. Dr. W. Dennis, and his son is a very good orator, believe me. Okay. Now, he came up, he was 50 years of age that time. He put all the Japanese big bankers, people who were, big businessmen into context. And he said, do you want to bring back Japan to where it essentially was or make it greater? And everybody was confused. So what do we have to do in order to bring Japan back to its toes? And that was a common question. I would also ask that. He said, you don't have to do anything. You just have to attend 3 hours of VC or a personal visit to my office every day. And this continued for several months. Japan is also known to be the quickest growing economy in the world. They have a Guinness Book of World Record for that. That is the reason why they call themselves as Japanese economic miracle. In 1960s, they were one of the wonders in the world, the most developed countries. It took them, so Denon said that it would take them 4 years. It took them 3 years to where they had to and equally compete with the United States, China, and all the other developing countries. It is what was one of the best examples of teamwork. And it's not so you've heard about Toyota, right? Toyota is a Japanese manufacturer of automobiles. We get in India as well. Toyota Motors is very famous. Toyota also has a city that's called Toyota City in Japan. I'm not sure how many people of you have visited Japan, but Toyota City is very famous. Not because it's the birthplace of Toyota, not at all. In the whole period when this Japanese economic miracle was ongoing, Toyota contributed to the economy. Now, let's imagine that Toyota would have kept manufacturing, wagons, goods, trains, cars, and it would have concentrated their business only to manufacturing of cars. Would Japan be able to export those cars? Probably no. They didn't have infrastructure. They didn't have rail transport. They didn't have ship transport. Their entire naval fleet had gone. And they did not even maintain army for a very long time. Toyota contributed by not just manufacturing cars, but also contributed economically, put all of its employees, 30% of the employees worked at the shipyard to ensure that the construction around the ports is built. This is a perfect example at a global level of how companies can collaborate with each other. And that is a nice example to say how teamwork can essentially grow. There's other examples. I mean, my wife works in an IT company. They talk about, there's a guy who will do the software development. There's a guy who will do maintenance. Then there's a set of team that will work on, if there's any bugs in the system. They all work together. If they do not work together, there is the client, you'll obviously leave the client in flattering position, and then he'll leave you one day or the other. There are also examples in pharmaceutical. There are enterprises like Eisai. Eisai is one of the companies that I admire because I had a very short stint of working with them. They are, again, a Japanese company, by the way. And they demonstrate teamwork like nobody else in the pharmaceutical sector. Across the board, wherever they are, they only follow one language, one tongue twist. None of their employees would say anything different from the other employee in Japan, for that matter. There's also one of my known people. His name is, have you ever heard about Casper? Anybody? Casper is let me tell you what the Casper is. So Casper is a company that manufactures the beddings. In the US, beddings once upon a time was a very costly affair. post the American independence, beds became very costly. It was very, very difficult to have beddings. People would literally die for a bed. They will, for $1, you would get nothing. For even hundreds of dollars, you would not get bedding. There was once upon a time, there was a lot of dearth of beddings. There is one of these guys whose name is Philip Kern. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the right name, but I know my friend's name for sure. This guy was CEO of Casper. His family owned some kind of businesses which was around making the bed, so it was easy. They started a company where they invested hardly around, I would say, $500,000. They're a company worth $150 million valuation. They sell the cheapest beddings, and their trademark, or let's say their sign of prosperity, is that you can fold the bed and keep it in the back of your car and go anywhere you want. Very flexible. So there's science, there's technology. But where does teamwork come here? So Neil Parekh is one of people I know in that company. He's also a co-founder. They essentially were 5 friends. One used to take care of shopping, one used to give delivery, another used to make the Sleepwell mattresses, which we also sell in India for that matter. Now, all of this combined made that team possible. They all 5 were not very rich guys. They had come from mediocre families, but really made good business. And they took responsibility of any and every skill that was required in that company to come up with. I think the company is around 500 people right now, and they are doing really good. You can go to their website. Casper offers the highest discount, the cheapest product, the best quality. And then the experience is not there. They work together in such liaison that you get the best experience while purchasing and getting it home as well. All right. So let me go to this picture. I'll leave some of the red contenders, which is people who would come out and say, let's not work in a team. There are people who would say, we is not important. It's just me. So let's say, for example, you go into a meeting, there will be a lot of people who would say, who is the leader? Because I want to be the leader. They would not know anything. They are just, Tom, Dick, and Harry in the whole game, but they want to be leaders without even knowing what they would be worth it. So it's always good to keep such people away. But I would say if you keep the me factor with you, then it always is a problem. And it always is a problem because in a team, your strengths gets highlighted, your weaknesses get diluted. So that's another advantage of being in a team. There is also, we have in what we call as Friday evenings, like how you have Friday talks, we have what is called Friday evenings. So you as a team might have fighted the whole week. Everybody might have thrown, dustbins over each other. But at the end of the week, what we do is, in the US, it's very much followed. 4 o'clock, the office shuts down. Everybody takes a bottle of beer and goes out. We all celebrate and forget whatever happened over the week. Very, very simple strategy to keep the team aligned, the team work together, and then not fight with each other. On Monday morning, it's blossom. Everybody forgets everything that happened the last week. That doesn't mean that you take a booze or you become a party animal. But that's not the intention. However, some spirited messages that I would like to truncate here. Let me, Divya, just give me a sense of how much time we have, if you can.
Yeah, we have pretty much good time, but I feel it should be more interactive, and I want all the participants to put your questions and open your mics and talk. Yeah.
Well, I think the next topic I have will do exactly this.
Sure.
And that essentially is what I call as self-confidence. How many people of in the bridge here on the call, what is the meaning of self-confidence? Anybody? Anybody?
Samyukta, Vinila, Ashish Gupta, Dr. Saurabh, Dr. Adinarayana. Yeah.
So what do you understand by self-confidence?
So we have someone here. Please go ahead. Krutira, please.
Good evening, sir. I believe that when we talk about self-confidence, like being confident of what we are doing and thinking like in a positive way that we are going to make it.
All right. So I'll make it very simple. The ability to think that you are doing well, right? The ability to say that you enjoy what you're doing. So let me give you a couple of examples. Has anybody come across, my son came last week and said, he wanted a picture of someone called Helen Keller. Has anybody heard of her?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, and what do you know about her?
She's the handicapped woman.
Exactly. Anything else? So, well,
She did her things by her own.
yeah. So the story starts here. This lady was also designated by the Wall Street Journal, which is in New York, one of the most famous ones. It says she has triumphed upon her triple affiliations. What is triple affiliations? Your affiliations is your affections, which is you think that if I don't have eyes, or if I don't have mouth, or if I don't have, let's say, ears, I'm just useless. But this is one lady who proved it the other way around. She did the first lady to have ever passed out from Harvard with a bachelor's of art in around 1950s, if I'm not wrong, with a degree in first grade. She was not able to see, she was not able to hear, she was not able to speak. She was dumb, deaf, blind since the beginning of her life. She is born like that. Now, in every place, whether you go to the Washington Capitol building or you go to some of these big universities, you would see a lady, a small child, which is basically representative of Helen Keller, teaching someone. She is perfect example of what you can call as self-confidence. Now, there are three things that we have to remember before we talk about what is self-confidence and how we can build it. We first need to get rid of what we call as self-negativity. I'll tell you how. So let's say your teacher said a question, and in a 30-member class, she says, can someone tell me an answer? I'm telling you, 90% of the class would not like to speak out. Do you know why? They have this self-negativity within themselves, thinking that what they would say might be wrong. There might be 10 people who would speak out on any topic. They would have that shyness. It could be shyness, but I call it negativity. That's called self-talk, self-negativity. And we keep, ourselves in some delusion that we have something lesser. And I'm not sure why. Speak out. And there are several people who would think that, I probably I'm not the right person to speak out, which is also wrong. You might be the only person of that 90 people who knows the answer. But just because you missed it, just because you did not pick up the phone or did not wake up when the teacher called up, you did not get that opportunity. And you lost an opportunity to essentially be confident. Now, leave this slide aside. I will ask you one more question, which I'm sure people would be open to answer. Now that I have given an example of why the teacher asks and why nobody responds back. There is once upon a time, there was an incident in my own life where I thought, I'm useless. I'll tell you, this is my 11th standard. And my father said that you did not get what you had in your 10th grade. And then he said, you should repeat your 11th standard again. Believe me or not, I repeated my 11th standard. All right. Now, why did I repeat? I took a self letter. What is called a self? You will not get this in dictionary, okay? So, or you will not get any in preaching here. But self letter is something where you have to write down. This is what is the mistakes I have done. This is how I would rectify, and I'll make sure that this is not repeated. That's called self letter. Even today, if we go to a meeting, and mostly when we go to an investor meeting or a board meeting or something like that, if we have committed that mistake, I come back and write in my diary. I have a small, these days I don't follow diaries, I have an Excel sheet. I keep writing all my mistakes. What was the mistake that we did in this particular presentation or this particular meeting that we did not get what we thought of? It's called self-talk. I would ask all of you to do this, not every day, but think about it. Think when you had a failure, it's more important to write what is called as a self letter to yourself. You don't have to show the letter to anybody. You have to write it and keep reading it for yourself. There's also something that is called constant appeal. Very interesting. So my son comes up, I think a couple of weeks back, he tells me, Dad, my teacher in basketball did not promote me to the next class, and I'm not sure why it is. Now, if I behaved like a father, I would say, what the hell are you learning? You have been going to basketball past 3 years and you did not get to the next class? Unacceptable. If you give that response to your child, what happens is he has already, lost his self-confidence. He would think that, probably I am at mistake somewhere. Now, the answer was the other way around. What I told him is, you know what? If you keep repeating this, if you keep practicing this further, there is a probability that you will surpass all the class that is there ahead of you. And believe me or not, next week, maybe a couple of weeks later, he said they promoted me to this class where all my friends are there. So the message here is repeat, right? So self-confidence will not come to you by heaven. You will have to keep repeating. You will have to do a self-letter for yourself, and you have to take out all the negativity that exists around you. In fact, it's always said that people who talk negative about yourself, about your company, about your colleagues, just stay away from them. I'm sure you'll be positive, and that will already inculcate, what is called as self-confidence. There is a good picture around. I'm not sure if anybody has pets, who this is. This is what we call as Cocker Spaniel. The Cocker Spaniel, it's not true, but it's in the picture for the here. The Cocker Spaniel says here that I would be the only person who would get a female very easily. That's not true, because Cocker Spaniel itself looks like a female. How would it get a female? It's very hard to get a mate for a Cocker Spaniel. Believe me, this is truth. So why would it not get? Because it itself is a girl. But you see, this is a problem that we have. Some people are overconfident. Some people do other kind of activities like this. They're just overconfident. That's not what I'm talking about. Now, I have my own experience. If you are confident enough, if your boss can let you go in a meeting, I'm sure 99.9% bosses would be very happy to have a confident subordinate. And that's what a happy boss looks like. And then I personally believe, my wife believes, that you feel more confident when you are in the best outfit. Some people might feel that, they're not confident, they would have a stage fear or something like that. What you should do is wear what you are very comfortable with. Wear a nice tie, get to a suit, do whatever you want. But I'm sure that when you want to be confident in a meeting, in a setup, in a discussion, in anything, wear the best you want to wear, because in my personal opinion, that gives a lot of self-confidence itself. There is a difference, obviously. There's one picture here that talks about clarity and confidence goes to confidence and clarity. Absolutely not. What it gives is the clarity and confidence should essentially give you a way forward from your past and not the other way around. I will go to the next slide. That there's a lot of message in that. You can just, leave that or read it for yourself. But
So
sorry, go ahead, please.
I have a question actually. How to get rid of a shy, like when we answer anything in front of everyone, there will be a shy or fear to answer it.
So can I ask an example of what you're shy of?
Answering in front of people or see people face or answer teacher.
Well, that's what is called stage fear, right? If I'm not wrong, right? So you are not confident of an answer probably, or you're not confident of how to interact with someone new. Is that what your point is?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So see, essentially, as I said, try it once, try it twice. I was a very shy person. I still remember it was class 12th, 15th of August, 1996. And suddenly the principal said, why don't you go on the stage and give the speech of the day? And I was totally confused. I said, what the hell? I'm not prepared. I never went to stage. How do you want me to go? But believe me or not, I just left everything aside. I said, dekhenge wahan par kya hota hai. Let's see what happens there. Let me go and try it out. I might have spoken hardly 2 or 3 sentences. Believe me, you have to attempt it. From that day, and all my colleagues, all my past colleagues, present colleagues, everybody will tell you that they enjoy with me. The reason they enjoy with me, that I don't shy talking. I might be talking crap, believe me, but I try to keep engaged. I try to keep myself very much engaged to my people, to my employees, to my colleagues. And you essentially have to do the first try. The day you do the first try, I'm sure the second time you don't need that trial. You will yourself go and talk to the Prime Minister of India. So you have to try to get rid of whatever is stopping you, the negativity that is stopping you. Go and try it once. Do take my number and then, through Divya, and tell me, did you try or not?
Yes, sir, for sure.
All right. We will go to the last 2 topics that I have. One, which is a really difficult subject to talk about, but this is one of the communication stuff that people don't understand. One of my ex-bosses actually taught me what is assertive talking. Basically, it means that you're not aggressive. You're not aggressive in a meeting. You're not, bulldozering everybody. It doesn't also mean to be passive. That means keep silent of whosoever is talking. You just be silent. That's not what is called assertive talking. Now, what is assertiveness? Again, let's go back to the communication and to Indu, right? So,
Yes, sir.
no, I'm just giving one solution to your problem. Now, tell me that, let's say, for example, the brain, and everybody's brain for that matter, right? When I was raised, I was raised like in a typical Hindu Brahmin family. Everybody, my parents are well read. They have gone to beautiful colleges. They've done the best of best. They taught me, how to handle things. They told me, how to behave in public, how to be very, vocal, where you don't have to be vocal, and all of that. Now, suddenly one day, I thought I was the best in the class. I was the best in everything. I went to my boss. This was in 2009, when we had a new project that was called the TRP1 agonist. I went to them and I told my boss, the essay that you're performing here will not work. And normally he would not criticize me. He said, you know what? Are you an in vitro biologist? You're not. So shut up. That's what his response was. I still remember. And I was like devastated. I said, what the hell? Nobody called me, to shut up ever. It basically hit my ego. You might think that way. But, normally what happens is if I had to go back and I thought, what did I say wrong that this gentleman is not accepting? In a normal situation, what you would do is that you would avoid a confrontation, whether it is your teacher, whether it is your professor, whether it is your boss. You would avoid that confrontation. You would agree to whatever your boss is saying, oblige, be a very obedient student or a follower, and then you just sit silent. Now, why did I tell you my story is simple? This is coming from our culture. We essentially come from a culture where our parents teach us what to do, what not to do. Actually, in our brain, there is a lot of negativity anyways. We never come to see or think about how we as an individual would grow in the absence of our parents, in the absence of our boss, in the absence of anybody who's feeding. Similar thing is if you look at the literature that is around, right? You guys read a lot of books. People are not creative. Why are they not creative? Because your knowledge is within the books. Your boundaries are already set. You think that the law of physics would start coming from here. Nobody is going to give you a day when an apple falls on your head and then you become Isaac Newton and invent the law of gravity. That's not going to happen. You may invent something else, but not law of gravity. So what Isaac Newton might have done at that time, you would not get that creativity now. But as a general feel, I feel that culturally, we have been fed in such a way that we always try to avoid confrontation. We always try to be obedient. We never try to confront. Even if we think that we are right, we will not. We will not confront. But let me tell you this. When I went to my boss again, this is like 5 days later, I said, A is the reason, B is the reason, C is the reason, D is the reason. That is why I think the essay is a failure. He looked at me and he said, and I still remember, I would never, I would not forget it. He said, this is what I was waiting for. You know what it means? Essentially, he was trying to test me. He was saying that this is what I was waiting for, that you could come with the best in you. Don't get stubborn. Don't get indebted with what your culture says. Don't confront. But at the same time, try to give examples. Try to be respectful. Try to be firm. And I'm telling you, beautiful things happen. When you're trying to be firm, you're very respectful, you're still obedient in a way, but put your ideas forward. That's also called as assertive talking. You're not trying to treat someone anything. You're bringing examples. You're bringing facts on the ground. And then there's also a couple of things that I would like to say about assertive thinking. I would rather, skip some of these slides. These are people who are never assertive. You can see some examples. They're always ambiguous. They're just taking the ground from here to there. I would give you an example of, what you should do. And again, Indu, this is what you should do, in my opinion. You have to know yourself. There are an adjective that's called know yourself. There's a book around that. Have a read at that, right? Know yourself, show and share your greatness. Sometimes people might be thinking that, there's a person who's boasting around, right? He's saying, oh, I'm so great. But sometimes it's good to show and share your greatness with others. There are two reasons. One, you get to hear about what other people think around about you. Second, people come to know that you are not a docile, dogmatic person who's going to be inside your own clothes. You would come out and you would show that you are the greatest. One of the other points is always say and keep saying, I am the best. That also appeals and assertive thinking. It also is something that will give you self-confidence. If you don't
Sir,
say, sorry, please.
sir, whatever we do, the people whoever stand beside us or the friends, they always say that you are not the best person or you speak very wrong. They always just encourage the people or make us self
Well,
like we are
that's
not
why
worth to do that.
come away from your negative thinking, come away from those people. Okay.
How
Remember,
to how
hold
to
on.
ignore?
Remember that you are the best. That's it. Nobody needs to tell you whether you're not the best or you are the best unless you feel yourself that you're not the best. That's what is negativity. Take out that. Every person, every individual who is born on this earth, including amoeba, is special. And they're special in one or the other way, right? So you have to make yourself feel special. Keep saying, I'm the best. And I'm telling you that confidence will raise every day, right? Why you might not feel special is because, let's say you got some grace marks, you might have, you may not have been the best student of the year. You might not have the best boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever it is in your college atmosphere. You might not have got a PhD degree. That doesn't mean anything. Believe me, I'm not a PhD for that matter. Divya calls me doctor, but I said just remove that, right? But assertive is assertive about yourself, show your greatness at any point of time you get opportunity. And always keep telling, I am the best. That's it. I'm the best. And I'm telling you, this attitude works for us in industry, even before an investor. I don't care whether the investor invests in me or not. I don't damn care. And believe me, this is my speech to my partner every next day. He doesn't take it wisely, obviously, but I keep telling him, forget about it. We'll get the next one. We'll get the next one. We'll get the next one. One day we will get it, right? So that's something. And by the way, because you said that, Indu, there's a lot of places. Have you seen in public spaces? We keep doing a lot like this, but we never speak when it is needed to be. My wife does it all the time. For example, in public places, if someone is littering, right? If there are places where there's public smoking, not allowed, but you still see some people smoking. What do you do? Has anybody of you gone to that person and told him you should not smoke? Have you said, don't litter around, don't put the garbage? There's a dustbin there, go and put it there. Have you ever tried it?
Yes, sir, I did.
Very good. But I'll tell you, 90% of people don't do it. But why don't they do it? Either they're shy, they're not assertive, they're probably passive, right? And that essentially is not good. I would skip one more slide in interest of Divya's time. Yeah. I think I'll have one more slide, Divya. I think that's enough, right?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
So what is act of assertiveness, right? Leaders are assertive Why do I write it? There is a very simple reason for that. Leaders, I'm not talking about managers. They will never be assertive, and they're not supposed to be assertive, because if they become assertive, nobody in the company will work. But a leader is assertive for one simple reason. He's not going to talk paradox. He's not going to talk this way or that way. He would say, this is the time that I'm thinking to close the company. 10 people of you would be removed with immediate effect day after tomorrow. That's called assertive talking. There will be some people in the company who say, you know what, you did a lot of good job. You have helped us a lot. You did a lot of asset development. You did a lot of miraculous work. But you know what? Maybe in the course of next 10 days, we would have to rethink about a job. There are others, including one of my fellow colleagues in my last company. He would say, get out. Now, one is aggressive, one is passive, the other one is very straightforward. He would say, we would pay you for 3 months. This is what is the best I can do. I would not create any kind of paradox. I would be a very assertive speaker. I gave a bad example, but that is the way it has to happen, right? Now, and Indu, take a chill pill. That's for you. If you're not aggressive, if you're
Yes.
passive, then take chili flakes and talk to anybody. You'll be able to do that. Right.
Okay, sir.
And yeah, so let's go to the last one. And one important thing that nobody does is trying to be curiosity. Nobody has interest and inquisitiveness. I would go to this diagram rather. In an interview, what happens? In a typical interview, if you are inquisitive, right, that means that you want to ask a question, not because you want to ask the question. You essentially want to appease the interviewer that either he is knowledgeable or I'm knowledgeable. It's a good thing, believe me. You can say, sir, can I understand what was your research interest? You know what will happen? In an interview, the interviewer will become really, you've satisfied his ego. He would be interested to talk to you. Now, in a company, when you say, I'm very eager to know what happened or why did it not pass in your lab, people will say, don't try to be over smart, get lost, right? That's how people will behave. I would leave this figure for you guys to interpret, but essentially what happens is this one. There are offices which are boring. I would give you one example. There is a company I visited in, I don't remember if it was 2016 or 17, but one of those years. We were working on a science where we licensed a product, small molecule inhalation technology to Novartis. Remember that Novartis in their lifetime has never taken a small molecule in inhalation technology from anywhere, anytime in the world. Now, who was on the axe is me. On my portfolio, you can see some of those things, right? We didn't know anything about inhalation sciences, believe me. I keep telling it to even my Novartis colleagues sometime. But we filed an IND. We went up to phase 2. Now, myself and there was a lady called Yellen. She was from Novartis. She's also now the head of inhalation sciences at Novartis. They do some domestic products. She said, you know what? Let's not go to any company to make this product. Let's go to Intertech Melbourne. Intertech Melbourne is a company that is based out of Oxford Street in London, very near to London. It's not London. We traveled almost 2 hours to go to that company. I was just thinking, we have farm materials, we have so many big CROs, we have Catalent. Why work at Intertech Melbourne? But when I went to that office, I can tell you, I understood why we should work with Intertech Melbourne. Unfortunately, we did not work with them. They were quite costly. But I'll tell you how that office was. So in a typical office, what you would see is that you would have offices for the bosses. There will be a lot of administrative area. Labs would be separate. Some people, technicians working in the lab. There will be solvent houses. There will be chemistry hoods. There will be biology places. There will be toxicology lab and all of that, right? This was not like that. This was one single floor, rectangle. And in that rectangle, at every bench, there was an analytical guy, there was a formulation guy, behind them was a GMP setup. There was a small GMP lab where they would actually manufacture clinical product. And the CEO, the CSO, the COO, whatever you call, all of them in a round circle against those benches. You know why? They said that we want to be most approachable to our people. We are not CTOs, COs, CSOs, just like that. We are here because we bring a lot of knowledge and we have experience. If one of our team members is not creative, we as a team would like to make it creative. And for that, we have to all sit together on one floor without any partitioning. There's no bossism, nothing to it. And I'm telling you, if I ever get an opportunity, that is the kind of office we want to create. Reason, very transparent. You want an analytical result, just go to the analyst, get the data. You want to go into the formulation, just go directly, put a code, go into the GMP setup. Now, this office, what you see here is pretty much boring. For students here on the call, I would say, don't represent numbers, try to make tables, graphs, present as much as possible. Don't put numbers. Nobody likes it these days. Even people have started, after using AI and all of that. I don't understand that jargon also, because there's nothing that works without human brain. But I would say present as much as possible without numbers. What happens also is a lot of creative way of doing this. You actually hide all your mistakes. So nobody wants to know if it was 95.550. When you represent that in a graph, everything within 90 to 100, everything looks same in a bar graph. And that's a way, if you are in a board presentation, I try to be that way. Hopefully none of my board members are here. But what I try to do is essentially make sure that my people are appeased with that graph. And they are looking at the bigger picture. They are not looking at my numbers. The numbers mean nothing, right? From a company's perspective. I don't want you to think that you're over smart. So people should not think that you're not creative or you're not inquisitive. Think out of the box. As I said to you earlier, Isaac Newton is not going to come and you are not going to invent the law of gravity, right? You will have to invent something on your own. You have to be creative as much as possible on your own. Sorry. So that's the message I wanted to give. But, there are other things that you should think beyond, inquisitiveness or, creativity. I would come to my last slide, and that basically clearly demonstrates what and why I wanted to put that manager versus leader slide the first, and I wanted to discuss this at the last. Now, let's point out what all we thought as a good leader has and what it should have. We talked about having a leader with very clear communication. So that's a tick mark. We have also talked about people who have self-confidence, clear goals. That's the one, right? We've talked about being assertive, one who is very clear of the goals and inspires others. That is inspiration. One by value who is creative and who stimulates the work at every place. Teamwork is also something that we discussed. We did not discuss about recognition because that will come when time comes, but I did tell you that you have to think that you are the best. The recognition will come over the course of time. Encouragement, a leader is supposed to encourage anybody, support anybody. So that's all inclusive. And, inquisitiveness has something to do with vision. If you are not inquisitive, if you are not bringing any kind of creativity, there is no vision that you can give to your followers, to your fellow colleagues, and ultimately integrity that binds all of these factors together. Thank you, Divya. That's pretty much from my side.
Thank you so much, Mr. Uday. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and everything. So I believe everyone have been inspired from your talk. And we have put polls when you were talking, and we have received few answers for that. Let me get that to you. So what are the three key communication skills that are essential for building strong relationships is the one of the poll. And people have answered for active listening, empathy, clear and effective feedback, and conflict avoidance. I'm not sure there is a one person who have answered interrupting and aggression. We want to know who is there. That's joke. No worries. So what do you think, Mr. Uday? What are the key communication skills out of this? Active listening, empathy, clear and effective feedback, aggression, and conflict avoidance.
Well, it has to be clear for sure. But as I said, from a communication standpoint, if you do not give the respect to the person whom you're listening to or you want to communicate, that's what is called empathy. Okay. I don't think you would deserve a response that you would expect from him. So I think, personally, I think empathy is very important. Transparency is very important, and clarity of thought and clarity of what you want to say has to be absolutely damn clear. It should be a dot on the whiteboard.
Yeah. So
By
clear.
the way, your bosses might not like if you are so clear, but that's how it has to be.
Yeah, that's what was my question. So clear communication makes us a good leader, isn't it?
Yeah, this is good talking, but essentially clear communication. I've seen one of my bosses lose his job because of clear communication, right? But essentially, if that was delivered with empathy, giving enough feed to the boss that you are the greatest boss in the world, but this is my feedback, that would have gone very well. This is also an example. I would not name the company or the person, but essentially the event was very simple. We had got quotes from 5 CROs. He did not make a table. He did not show the boss. And suddenly the big boss appeared one day. He said, "What the heck is this? And how are we going to spend $2 million on this particular study? This is just bullshit." And then, he threw it on the boss. The boss came and threw it on my boss. And he said, "You don't deserve to be here because you did not present it to me." In fact, my boss presented. My superior boss actually forgot about it. But you know what? If he would have said this way, "Yes, boss, I'm wrong, but let's work on this one more time. Let me explain you why I had to do this way," probably it would have gone the other way around. They don't talk to each other even today for that discussion. And I recently had an interaction with both of them, and both of them had their own complaint. This is way back in 2008. They have not forgotten that. Okay. So sometimes you have to be very balanced, but empathy is important when you're talking a very clear communication, because sometimes people may not like it.
Yeah, correct. So anyone have any questions? Yeah, I could see Redmi Note 7s have some question. Please go ahead, Redmi. Please introduce yourself before asking.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. I am Tiyasha Kole. I am from West Bengal, and I complete my MSc. After that, I am searching jobs. So I have a question for sir that I participate a lot of programs during my college time and my school time, like recitation, singing, dancing. But every time I feel fear and I become participant, and still I have the same problem. So how can I overcome this problem? I look for the solution.
Well, what do you do best? What do you
I'm
think?
sorry, sir.
What do you think you do best?
Sir, I don't know how can I overcome that. I don't have any idea and I can't found any solution.
Well, I asked you a question. What do you think you're best at?
Based my skill about my skill.
Speaking. Doesn't matter, even if it is talking.
So I am skilled at singing and right now my studies.
Okay. And did you score well in your exam?
Yes, sir.
And then what do you think that your problem is? Do you think you need a magic pill that will go in and then you'll resolve the problems of your life? Is that what you're looking at?
No, no, I don't. I don't need any magic or any spell. But I don't know why I become. I feel nervousness, and when I go in stage or I give any speech, so I don't know why it happened with me.
So I would say that whatever your speech is, write it on a piece of paper and
Okay.
take have a look at the mirror and repeat it 5 times. I'm sure the sixth time you'll do perfectly. Do it 100 times. One day will come that you'll do it perfectly. Nobody is born with magical skills or anything like that. It's just practice, practice, practice. As much as you do practice in your singing, and I'm sure you have really done well. I'm sure you will do well here. Connect with me, Trisha. We'll solve your problem one day.
Seriously, thank you, ma'am.
So it's not only the problem for you, it's mostly for everyone. I mean, the best of the best speakers have also all this kind of issues. So don't worry, your heart gets pumped up 100 times and you get vapors from your ears and you become red. It's all fine. It's a process.
I drink a beer when I have to talk on a stage.
Yeah. So Jagdish sir, please go ahead.
Hi, Uday. Good to see you. So, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, Uday, maybe you should also share with others that what exactly you do, because you are running one of the revolutionary drug discovery company, and how you are kind of employing all the things that you shared with us.
Well, honestly speaking, I haven't employed anything. But essentially, if you look at, we are a very diverse team. Okay, we have people from India, we have people from United Kingdom, we have 2 people from United States. We have a new board coming in. People from family-oriented business ventures. There are people who are coming on the board who are, multi-millionaires. Probably one of these guys is the 20th richest person in the world who's joining BioAsia, right? So I mean, there's a lot of people who have different egos. You have to keep satisfying in the board. You know how the board meeting goes, right? It always goes the other way around. So what essentially we try to do is, one, for us at the company level, Fridays are the most important part. And I like your speech, Friday days, right? Friday talks on a Friday. And I've recently told one of my colleagues that we should always make sure, unless someone is on upvas, which is something that people practice, I don't, we should have a glass of beer for sure. Okay. The other part that we try to do, and there's most of the cases, there are freshers who come to us, stay for hardly 1 year. And then they are probably trained or they get a better job. We don't stop them. That's another part. We never stop anybody from going if they wanted to. We're very clear. This is what is the company. This is the size of the company. We will limit ourselves to this level. If you guys think that you are underpaid, we would like you to stop you for, let's say, next 6 months. We would give you a nice hike or a raise when we are enough funded. But more than that, we don't do. There's 2 reasons for that. So one, someone some of these disciplinary guys who's coming from chemistry, biology, blah, 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 keep talking to each other. I don't think as, entrepreneurs, we should stop anybody's progress at all. Second, there are people in my team who are working from United Kingdom. There's a guy called, I think you met him, right? Mark Wong is working with us for more than 2 years without $1 salary. 2 years without a salary. Why does he stick to us? Simple as that. There's some promises that we might have made to him in terms of ESOP or something like that. But essentially, he's sticking because he knows us well. That's not true for the rest of the team. There are a lot of freshers who don't know us, what we have done, what we have cultivated, how did we come up with a team, what is the finances that are involved, what kind of teams are engaged. So those are some of the points that I would like to mention to keep our team knitted very close together. Now, I've already told them one day, sudden day, I went to the chemistry, which I never go. I went there and, I blasted. I said, guys, don't think that we're talking rubbish here. I'm going to have a boss to every guy that is here. We are going to recruit 40 people in August 2023. So nobody of you should feel that, you're going to be downgraded or you're going to be upgraded. There's no feeling like that. The people who have come to join BioAsia when it was a very small company, we have at the most respect for them. And we'll take care of that, right? But people who are coming new, experienced people, they also have something to take back. And Jagdish, this is something that, most of the US companies follow. And we in India do not even care. You can go to Reddy's, you can go to Sun Pharma, you can go to any shit guys. I don't care. But essentially, what we don't appreciate in the country is that we don't appreciate employees. It is a known fact, right? We do not think that they are the reason why entrepreneurs are successful. They never think about it. When we formed this company, BioAsia Therapeutics Inc. in the US in Delaware, the first document that we signed was an ESOP of 10% of the entire company to be given to employees. Simple as that. There is no discussion whether we make profit, whether we make no profit, whether we make $1 billion company or we don't. We will ensure that every employee, even for that extent, there's a gentleman called Akash in our lab who's a lab assistant. He basically comes in the morning, sweeps in the chemistry and the biology lab and goes off. He also has ESOP, the stock of BioAsia. It is something that we have inside the blood. We have made sure that nobody leaves the company because he did not get an opportunity to work.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing the news that you will be hiring 40 people in August.
Well, I thought Radhana sir already knows it.
Okay. Please, when you advertise the post, please let us know, because FABA has this FABA recruitment arm that we are trying to build. So FABA Fridays is a part of it. So the main idea is that we train people on skills, soft skills, and then we kind of help make their profiles available for the companies that they are recruiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nilesh.
Okay. So, ma'am, my question is, as I have completed my post-graduation recently, so I am actively looking for job or internship. So, ma'am, there is one problem that every companies need a skilled person with experience. And as I am very fresher student, so how can I or how can one freshers can get their first job or internship, or what exactly skills or things we need for it? Can you tell me, please?
Well, I thought the question is more apt for Jagdish here.
Yeah. Correct.
Sorry, would you like to introduce one more time? Like, where do you study and what are you doing and everything?
Yes, sir. I am from Nagpur, and I have recently completed my post-graduation from Rashtrashan Tukaroji Maharaj Nagpur University from MBG department, that is Molecular Biology and Genetic Engineering.
Okay. And what have you done so far? Did you apply somewhere?
Yes, sir. I am continually applying whenever the posts are coming,
Okay.
and I am also preparing for net set side by side.
That's a very, I think that's a good thing. So there's always a problem, whether chicken comes first or egg comes first, like whether the experience comes first or the job comes first. So there's no straightforward answer. I think attending FABA Fridays is one thing. You need to attend a couple of events like this where you build your network. So for us, like for example, Uday has 40 positions from next month. And he will be looking for positions. And unfortunately, he will not be knowing where to hire proper talent. And you are a proper talent. So you will be looking for positions, but you do not know where to look for. So my idea is that networking solves a lot of issues. Try to approach your own friends, your own professors, lecturers, and be active on platforms like LinkedIn or other places. Make a good profile, make yourself visible, ask your own friends. Just also talk to your seniors where they are and where you can get positions. So there's no straightforward answer, Nilesh. So try to apply, try to be in the loop. There are a lot of positions. You'll get it. It's just a matter of time, I think. Make your CV properly. Make your make your profile really good so that people get attracted to you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Understood.
You can also reach out to our team later. We'll see if there are any positions that we can have your profile and send it to others.
Yeah.
Sir, can you tell me how can I reach?
So Farhan will send you an email later. So you join our WhatsApp group and send your CV there.
Yes, sir. Please, sir. Please.
Sure.
Divya, is that okay to thank and then get off the call? Is that reasonable, Jagdish?
Can you answer one last question before?
Sure.
I think Sushri has some question. If I may. Sushri?
Hello.
Yeah.
Ma'am, hello, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I wanted to ask, as I have completed my MTech in biotechnology and biochemical engineering, and after that, there are a lot of options like clinical research, pharmaceutical, or core biotech. And I wanted to ask, like from a financial point of view, which offers a better pay and stability?
Well, none of them. That's my answer.
Yeah. Jagdish sir, you wanted to give a...
Sushi, there's nothing that you're going to be paid well. That's for sure. But can I know what is your background? What's your degree like?
Sir, I have done MTech in biotechnology and biochemical engineering from Sir MVIT College from Bangalore.
Okay. And what do you want to do on your own? What has been your interest? What was your project interest when you actually turned up to MTech Biotechnology?
I was interested in research and I was very fascinated by biotechnology, but I'm very demotivated because the pay is comparatively it's very, very less, and then I don't know what to do, like, because I
Well,
continued, I've done master's.
What is your background? What does your mom or your dad do?
My mom is a homemaker and my dad, he works in like government.
All right.
He works in LIC.
Is that paycheck matter coming because you have a requirement of the money? Is that the reason, or is this out of your self-interest?
No, like in general, I want to be able to financially independent and live a life, and I don't want my passion to be the reason why I won't be able to provide for myself at a
Well,
level.
let me tell you, I'm sure Jagdish knows it better than me. There's a lot of curriculum programs by UGC. I'm a dropout of UGC, by the way. I hate to do my PhD, but whatever said and done, there's a lot of programs that are affiliated to help people come up to their PhD, complete their research interest. But in most cases, I'll tell you, if you've done an MTech in biotechnology, I don't think your PhD is going to help you if you really want to do something to do a job, I would suggest to get to a pharmaceutical company rather than a biotechnology company. Two reasons. One, biotechnology companies, especially if you're looking at a job in India, especially from biosimilars perspective, anything around that, they are not going well. Nobody wants to do see, there's a lot of companies who are talking about similars. There's a lot of buzz around that, right? But there's no products that are coming around. Reason for that is we as a country are not strong on the regulatory front. We are only strong in mimicking something, but that mimic has helped us on the process development, on the pharma side, in DMF, ANDAs. It is not going to be that simple on the biosimilars, right? But if you really want to get a job, go to Biocon. Probably they are one of the companies that are doing really, really well, right? In terms of at least bringing some concepts in there. The second part is with regards to what kind of job that you want to do. Probably it should not be defined by money, because money will come one day. It will not go anywhere. The day you have 3 years experience in your hand and you go to any company with worth experience that you've done, I'm sure anybody will pay you a paycheck of your interest and of your liking. I think money is, aaj mera hai, kal tumhara hai type hai. Okay, so it come and go. And I don't think money can define a job. It's better that you do an interesting job rather than just do it for money.
Okay, sir. And sir, what do you think about moving abroad somewhere like US or London or like anywhere?
Absolutely brilliant idea, but that's only for United States. For rest of the countries, I don't suggest anything. There's a lot of people who have wasted their energy in going abroad and doing nothing.
So, no, do you think that it's better to go for a PhD or like for a job position?
It's your interest. I'm not sure if you are yourself clear of what you want to do in your career. If there is a restraint or a constraint because of your financial needs, then better go to a job. If you think there's no financial constraint, your parents want you to support you while you are doing a PhD or something, go for a PhD.
But PhD scholarships will be there, right? I mean, they will provide.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay. Thank you, sir, and I wanted to ask if I am also currently looking for like few opportunities. So if it is okay, can I join that WhatsApp group sir was talking about earlier?
Yeah, Sushri, all of the participants are invited to the WhatsApp group, and we can collaborate together there. No
So
worries.
Divya, just I'll take a leave. I have to go to somewhere. But if anybody has questions, just pass me along. More than happy to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining.
Sorry to trouble you. Thank you.
I didn't know this angle out of you today. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Good. So Shri, maybe I can also add a couple of points there. So
Yes, sir.
whom are you comparing with? So are you comparing with the IT engineers?
Yeah, yes, sir. I'm comparing with the IT industry.
So there, I mean, being MTech, I think you might have already some coding experience and other things, right? So if you want to go into IT, I think you have the best possibility. So learn some skills and do some data sciences or things. There are lots of opportunities. But if you are more passionate about doing something out of your life, out of your background, I think research is a way. You can go abroad. I mean, there's no limit. Like you can do anything. So I think I would say if finances are your main thing, go and get a job. And or if you want to train for 1 year or something. I was telling Divya and my team last time that there was one of my senior who was frustrated with PhD. Then afterwards he went to Delhi, started coding. He was a hardcore biologist, then started coding. I think he started first as a rupees 5,000 as a salary. Now his salary is around 3 lakhs per month. So I wouldn't say that he's happy with his life, but he says like money is good and he is taking care of everything, family and everything. But he always comes back to us and say like, oh, what kind of research is happening? What kind of new tools are there? I wish I have done PhD. I wish a doctorate is there in front of my name. So there are all the time, there's no clear path for anything. You need to talk to people, take a pen and paper, analyze. Maybe let's say like, don't take anything step so fast. Like, do not say like your present circumstances doesn't define you in the future. So next 5 years or next 10 years, next 20 years, 30 years, what should you be proud of? Like the package what you have, or otherwise the achievements that you do. So because these things really will stuck you later, like after 10, 15 years, you will really question like whether the decisions what I take now will impact in the future. Nobody can guide you properly, so just talk to people and then move on. Don't get stuck.
Yep. So Kushbu,
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for the insight.
Sure.
thank you. Kushbu, please go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am, sir. I am from Nagpur. I have completed my MSc in molecular biology and genetic engineering. I have a question that what exactly a HR looks in the fresher's CV?
So you should watch our CV writing YouTube video, which is on our YouTube channel. I'll post the link for Han if he can. So that will be easy for you. Or else Jagdish sir, if you want to take over.
I think it's better to watch that video, Kushbu, because we talk in length of about those things for 1 hour. So you can watch that video and then see, like, I mean, there are multiple things, I think. But the thing is, first thing is whether you have the proper skill set or not, whether they have requirement or not.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Indu, please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. This is Hindu. I'm doing now my undergraduate in biotechnology and genetics, and I've learned coding for past 2 years. And I'm interested in this coding kind of thing, but not in the science. But I want to know what to do. What should I do in masters? Like any biotech thing, or
You went on mute.
what should I do in MS? Coding or biotechnology genetics?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? What exactly? It's a bit loud here. So you learned coding, you said, right?
Actually, I am doing now my undergraduation in Bhavans. I'm second year. So from past 2 years, sir,
Undergraduate in what subject?
biotechnology and genetics,
Okay.
BTG.
Okay.
I'm having interest in this coding thing. I've learned every language in coding by my own. I can do anything, and I did many projects in that. So like I'm very confused what to do in my masters.
Yeah, you tell me what do you want to do.
Sir,
You tell me what are the opportunities available and what best will suit you.
actually, I want to get into software industries or IT companies for in development, and I'm very interested in doing the research thing. So like I was thinking what to do.
I wish you joined last before FABA Friday. We had a speaker named Satyavati who was working in ThoughtWorks. So she was heading a software team that is full of life scientists. So I would say a bridge of bioinformatics will suit you, because bioinformatics is biology plus informatics. Informatics is computers.
Yes, sir.
So I think bioinformatics or chemie informatics, these kind of things will really will suit your career.
Okay.
So look into, actually you can also write GATE, and then you can do some MTech bioinformatics or something. I do not know whether BSc you can do, but MSc bioinformatics, I do not know who offers. Explore opportunities. Who was speaking? Kushbu, right?
Indu.
No, sir.
Yeah. So explore some opportunities. Otherwise, drop us an email. Maybe we look for a speaker and then bring some experts in this field.
Okay, sir.
Kushbu,
Even Empromise
Thank you,
also.
sir.
Sure.
Kushbu, do you want to go ahead, or Tiasha?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question that I complete my MSc biotechnology, and everyone suggests me to go abroad for work. So this question is little bit irrelevant, but the question is, what is the difference from India and abroad and the biotech companies? Why everyone asked to go abroad except the money thing? What is the basic difference, and how can we? How can we develop India like abroad about the biotechnology?
Maybe we can also ask Govind answer. Govind, are you there?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Govind. Do you want to address this question?
Well, I can do that. I can answer that one. Thank you for that one.
Sure.
Well, in abroad, we have a lot of, exposure, like you can work with a very, really good team and you can learn the things with the different international culture where you can grasp the knowledge. At the same time, you can work with different networking that maybe in the long run, it will be very helpful for our, career, for our things. And India, yes, we have the things similar. There are a lot of central universities. There are a lot of well-funded universities. But the most basic things, you will have the very good network that may be really helpful when you are the growing in your career. Is it? Yeah, that's it. And the remaining as usual, like you can do the very cutting edge techniques and everything. So these are the secondary, but you will have the very good network and you will have the very good choice of the work. I hope I answered that one.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I got it.
By the way, Govind came from UK, so he did his PhD from UK. One can also ask how the PhD in UK works or how to apply such things.
Yeah, you can contact me if you have any for the going abroad and things, so I can guide you what are the things for helpful.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you.
Govind.
Thank you.
If anyone have any questions before we exit.
Sir, I have.
Yeah, Chennakishore, please.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening.
Sir, good evening, sir. Jagadish sir.
Chennakishore, good evening.
Sir, my question, as you say earlier, I am struggling to speak in English. Can you advise me, sir? What can I do firstly?
You're speaking fantastic already. You have already started taking the steps towards improving your
What is
language.
the question, Chennakishore?
So he's struggling
Sir,
with English. Yeah, please.
Yeah, yes.
You're struggling with English.
Yes,
Who told you?
Sir, I am struggling with speaking English.
Who told you that?
Yeah, my soul.
I don't think so. You're
My
not struggling.
soul.
So language is just a way of communication.
No, I am struggling. No, sir, I am struggling in speaking English with other people.
So what?
Actually, as you see earlier in last plant biotech, that means current trends in plant biotechnology. I am struggling with those people. I am not speaking well with those. Can you advise me, sir, what I can do firstly?
So that's a good struggle, right? Struggle. Afterwards, will get used. Language is not a curiosity. Is a if you are curious. Big language knowledge. Nothing that will stop you. Don't think at all that you are struggling or something. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. As long as you are really genuinely curious, genuinely want to do something, everything comes back automatically. Language is just a way of communication. You can imagine a person who doesn't speak at all, but how does he communicate? So I would say this is not a limitation at all. Don't worry. It's a learnable skill. Comes with practice. That's it. Your journey started now.
Yes.
So it take.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Don't worry. Sure. Noor garu, Noor, hi sir.
Hello. Good evening, Jagdish. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. చెన్నకేశవ గారు తెలుగులో మాట్లాడొచ్చా? గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్ అండి. ఓకే, మీరు ఏదైతే ఇప్పుడు రికగ్నైజ్ చేయగలుగుతున్నారో మీ ఇంగ్లీష్ అంత లెవెల్లో లేదు ఇప్పుడు అనేది స్పర్శ వచ్చిందో మీకు, దట్ ఈస్ ద ఫస్ట్ స్టార్టింగ్ పాయింట్ అండి. అక్కడి నుంచి మీరు డెవలప్ అయ్యే ఛాన్స్ చాలా ఉంది అన్నమాట. ఎక్కడి నుంచి అయితే ఇప్పుడు మీకు ఎంతవరకు అయితే ఇప్పుడు ఆ రియలైజేషన్ వచ్చింది, అది ఏంటంటే మీ ఇంగ్లీష్ అంత లెవెల్లో లేదు అనేది, దట్ ఈస్ ద ఫస్ట్ స్టార్టింగ్ పాయింట్ అనమాట. అక్కడి నుంచి మీరు ఏం చేయాలంటే, ఏదైతే కామన్ గ్రూప్ ఆఫ్ పీపుల్ ఉన్నారో, ఎవరైతే ఇంగ్లీష్ని డెవలప్ చేసుకోవడానికి ప్రయత్నిస్తున్నారో వాళ్ళతో మీరు కలిసి ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయండి. ఓకే, ఒక గ్రూప్ ఆఫ్ పీపుల్ ఉంటారు, ఏంటంటే వాళ్ళు కూడా అందరు కూడా మీ లెవెల్లోనే ఉంటారు అనమాట. సో దే ఆర్ ట్రయింగ్ టు ప్రాక్టీస్ అండ్ ఇంప్రూవ్ దేర్ ఇంగ్లీష్. మీరేం చేయండి అంటే అటువంటి గ్రూప్లో జాయిన్ అయ్యి, ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో మీ పక్కన ఏదైతే మీరు ఎక్కడ ఉన్నారు ఇప్పుడు ప్రస్తుతం? కడపలో ఉన్నారు. సరే, కడపలో అక్కడ ఏదైనా స్పోకెన్ ఇంగ్లీష్ క్లాస్ ఉందన్న, అక్కడ వెళ్ళి మీరు జాయిన్ అయ్యి అందులో ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తేనే, డైలీ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తేనే అది వస్తుంది అనమాట. సో ఇది వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఇదేంటంటే మీరు కన్సిస్టెంట్ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయాలి. మీరు కన్సిస్టెంట్ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయలేదు అంటే ఆ ఇంగ్లీష్ అంత స్కిల్ రాదన్నమాట. అదేంటంటే మీరు ఒక్కసారి అందరి ముందు వెళ్ళి మాట్లాడాలన్నమాట. ఇప్పుడు నలుగురు ముందున్నారు, ఇప్పుడు ఇదే మీటింగ్ అనుకోండి, ఈ మీటింగ్లో మీరు మాట్లాడుతున్నారు అంటే యూ విల్ బీ ఏబుల్ టు షెడ్ దట్ ఫియర్ అనమాట. ఆ ఫియర్ మీ దాంట్లోంచి వెళ్ళాలన్నమాట. సో ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు టాక్ ఇన్ ఫ్రంట్ ఆఫ్ అన్ ఆడియన్స్ అండ్ ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు షెడ్ దట్ ఫియర్, యూ విల్ బీ ఏబుల్ టు బెటర్ హ్యావ్ లిటిల్ కాన్ఫిడెన్స్. కొంచెం కాన్ఫిడెన్స్ పెరిగి యూ విల్ బీ ఏబుల్ టు బికమ్ అ బెటర్ స్పీకర్. ఏంటంటే మీరు వినాలి కరెక్ట్గా, ఇంకా మాట్లాడాలి, ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయాలి, అంతే. ఇది చేస్తే మీకు డెఫినెట్గా మీకు రిజల్ట్ కనబడుతుంది. బట్ ఇట్ టేక్స్ టైం అనమాట. మీకు ఇమీడియట్గా ఏది కాదు, ఏదైనా కూడా కొంచెం టైంతో మెల్లిమెల్లిగా ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసి కన్సిస్టెంట్గా ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తే వస్తుంది. ఐ విష్ యూ ఆల్ ది బెస్ట్ చంద్రకేశవ్ గారు.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
ఓ నో ప్రాబ్లం, ఎనీ టైం.
Anyone else who want to come up, speak, ask questions?
What shall be the next FABA Friday? Because with FABA Friday, and we are choosing the topic randomly. The participants, we can choose really a good speaker who really.
Hi, Sarah.
I think SOP and the endorsement letter.
This is Sarah calling from home.
What, Chinakishore, you were saying something. What could be the next step?
I think SOP said that means statement of purpose and then endorsement letter.
So statement of purpose, right? Okay. We'll make a note.
Okay, guys, I need to leave.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, sir, for joining. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you all.
You can write all the doubts in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I have posted the WhatsApp group link. Everyone can join there and we can discuss, and you can message us personally to your CVs or your doubts or anything. We'll be happy to help you. Thank you all for joining. We'll see you next Friday. Thank you all. Bye.
So much.